EDC's regular meeting. Today is Monday, April 4th, and we're calling this meeting at 6 p.m. Can I get a roll call?
Darrell Anderson. Here. Beverly Raymond. Christopher Smith. Here. Ellen Clark. Harold Doucette. Here. Jerry LeBeau.
Here.
Rhonda Connor.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Please stand for the invocation and pledge. Mr. Anderson, if you'll give it, please.
God, we thank you for this time. Thank you for this group of individuals. Pray that clear mind, make the city beneficial to the city. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You all received a copy of the minutes of the following board meeting. Are there any questions? Can I get a motion?
Second.
Motion pass. The presentation and communication, I'd like to welcome Mr. Dub Taylor with the presentation about PACE.
Jerry, we didn't vote.
We need to vote on the minutes.
Sorry about that. Okay, the motion passed.
It has been moved and second that the minutes be accepted from the last board meeting. All in favor?
Against. Passed.
Oh, that's what you have to say.
It's passed.
We have to say the minutes of the last meeting has been moved and second. All in favor, they have to say.
It's
This is Austin Beck.
okay. You there?
How are you?
Good. Motion been made and second. Passed. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? No. Good. Okay, Mr.
Mr. Chairman, this
Taylor,
is Austin Beck. Can y'all hear me okay?
what's that?
Yes, Mr. Beck, we can hear
This is
you.
Austin Beck calling.
Yes, we can hear you.
Frank's office.
Board Chair, can we introduce Ellen?
Make sure everything was working. I'm here if y'all have any questions.
Thank you, Austin. We can hear you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Before we get into the PACE presentation, can we introduce our new board member?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Thank you.
Well, let me see. Hold on just a minute. Miss Ellen Clark is our new board member, and do you have anything to say or would like to say anything?
Well, at this time, I don't know anything to say other than good evening, and I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you. I love the city of Port Arthur, and I believe you're here because you do also, and I'm quite sure we're going to do great things together. At least I hope so. Thank you.
Mr. Taylor?
So, under Petitions and Communications, item number 1, presentations, I have brought Dub Taylor, the COO of the PACE program, which is the Property Assessed Clean Energy Program for the state of Texas. This program was adopted by the state of Texas under Chapter 399 of the Local Government Code. Jefferson County in 2017 adopted the PACE program. And now what I would like to do, I would like for Deb to present what PACE actually is and why it is imperative that we promote PACE because of this area's so significant footprint in industry. We would like to expand the PACE information to our industry key stakeholders and decision makers. So just to preface, once you receive PACE, Deb's presentation about PACE, we would like to also mention that tomorrow morning we are meeting with Motiva. regarding the PACE funding option. Next week, we are meeting with LNG, and we hope to have in the following weeks meetings with Total and Chevron Phillips and Valero as well. And Dub is going to continue communications with Orange County and Jessica Hill, the EDC director over there, to get the PACE program moved in that direction as well. So it's a very positive endeavor, and I will pass it over to Dub to fill you in on the PACE program.
Thank you. Thank you, Jessica. That said everything, right? That kind of covered it all. Well, thanks for having me here tonight. I'm going to give you about a 10-minute overview of what PACE is. You may have heard this acronym, but we'll dive into a little bit deeper. My background for almost 25 years, I ran the State Energy Conservation Office, which did energy engineering, energy efficiency, energy audits, water audits for public sector buildings, and also provided financing. And so now what PACE is very similar to that, but it's for private buildings, privately owned buildings. So the problem that PACE was designed to address is this one, and that is that business owners know that they can save money over the long run by making investments in higher efficiency lighting, HVAC systems, pumps, motors, these sorts of things. But these projects can be expensive, and they get that expensive quickly. And given all the competition for their own internal capital, these projects generally kind of get pushed to the wayside. And most business owners are looking at ways to reinvest to grow their businesses and grow revenue, not necessarily reduce expenses. That's just always been the kind of the natural priority. So what happens is this results in equipment that fails. Typically, an air conditioner doesn't go out in December, it goes out in July. And so then it's replaced on kind of a piecemeal basis. You might not get the system you are looking for if it's not available because your objective is to get the cooling back on or the lighting replaced, not to shop around. And then in the case with new construction, a lot of times the emphasis is on things that are more visible. They always say, like in a new house, people want stainless steel appliances and granite countertops. They don't really care what kind of air conditioner's in the attic because they can't see it. The same thing is the case with commercial buildings as well. So these things wind up, again, kind of never being addressed. And so this results in higher operating costs for buildings, more utility, higher utility costs than are really necessary, lower building performance. In this part of the state, if we don't properly address moisture and control humidity in our buildings, you get mold inadvertently. And so these systems just kind of have cascading issues if they're not addressed comprehensively. So PACE is a solution. This is not the silver bullet. I wish it was, but it's a very good fit in a lot of cases. It's a financing tool. PACE stands for Property Assessed Clean Energy. It facilitates the financing of projects, energy and water savings projects. It provides 100% financing for energy and water efficiency and distributed generation projects. As Jessica mentioned, it is authorized in state law, under state law, Chapter 399 of the Local Government Code. It is enabled by local governments. So the law provides the authority to a city or a county to establish a program within its boundaries. So Jefferson County did this back in 2017. So any property within the county is eligible. The city doesn't have to take action. The EDC doesn't have to take action. It's already there. It's a tool that's already there. It's voluntary and open market, meaning that any property owner that has an eligible property can utilize it. Any lender can provide the financing, and any contractor can do the work. So there's not a prescribed list. And as far as the eligible kind of properties in Texas, what's allowable or eligible are commercial buildings, including nonprofits, multifamily, so 5 units or more, apartment buildings, and any sort of industrial or manufacturing facility as well. About the only thing that's not eligible is single-family residential or residential 4 units or less, and that's just the nature of the enabling state law here. The focus is on commercial. And so the types of things that we're talking about that can be financed are any sort of a project that reduces energy or water usage or generates energy on site is potentially eligible. So a list of examples of those things are here. Obviously, air conditioners, air conditioning, HVAC systems, lighting upgrades, building management systems, building envelope improvements. In the case of industrial projects, combustion and burner upgrades, heat recovery and steam traps, distributed generation systems, combined heating and power systems, and then a whole host of water conservation and water management projects. And so what makes this different is that assuming an owner either does not have the capital to make these investments or they have other priorities for that capital, then they're probably going to go to a lender to borrow money for an equipment loan to replace this equipment. And most equipment loans are no longer than about 60 months, some shorter. And so what happens is all the repayment for all of that equipment improvement happens on the front end. And so the owner is having to pay more in debt service than they're realizing in utility savings and benefits. And so they're upside down from a cash flow perspective. What PACE does is using a local assessment to secure the financing, it extends the financing term to a much longer period so that you're cash flow positive day one. So the owners can do this in a budget neutral way. They can make these improvements and it won't cost them new money because that debt service is offset by the savings. That's really the key to it. Some of the barriers that it addresses, again, no upfront capital is needed. These loans can be equal to the estimated useful life of the equipment, so that can be 20 plus years depending on what it is. 100% financing, it's a loan that's tied to the property. It's not a business or a personal loan. In the case of a rental property, it can be passed, the cost can be passed through to tenants in a triple net situation. The tenants receive an improved space and they pay through their lease arrangement a share of the improvements. And then in the case of an ownership change, just like a property tax, this is not a property tax to be clear, but it would stay with the property. And so the next owner would pay its share, the next owner would pay its share, and so on. They can be paid off early at the time of ownership transfer, and we've seen those both ways. So in Texas, the state law passed enabling this in 2015, and so there were no projects then, and then there's really been this kind of hockey stick growth ever since. We're now at $224 million of closed projects across the state, about half of them energy efficiency, a third water conservation, 12% distributed generation. And a whole lot of this is in the commercial and the retail space, followed by lodging and hospitality, commercial office after that. And as I mentioned, being a locally enabled program, cities or counties, there's a process they go through to establish PACE. We have 77 local PACE programs now, covering about 72% of the state's population. Jefferson County is included, so it's Hardin, and Orange is considered it. The Commissioner's Court's heard about this a couple of times and may soon take action. Again, here's the Jefferson County page. Every local government PACE program has a site like this. And so our role in this, our group, the Texas PACE Authority, we were created essentially to fill a void. Cities and counties wanted to offer this program, but they didn't want to create a new staff to support it. And so nothing happened initially. And so our organization was formed to essentially serve as extended staff for the city or the county to run their programs. So we really, I always think we kind of officiate the transactions. And these are, again, private transactions between a property owner, a private lender, and a contractor, but it's secured through a local assessment. And so our role is to make sure that all that meets all the requirements under state law and the local program guidelines. This is kind of an outline of how it works. Building owner finds a contractor. They identify the scope for the project. They identify a capital provider to fund the loan. They apply to the program. If everything meets the requirements, then contractually an assessment is put in place that secures the loan. The capital provider provides the funding, just like a conventional bank loan. The contractor completes the project, and then the owner sends the installments back to the lender directly, just like a conventional loan. In some states, this becomes a PACE loan. The collection of it or the servicing becomes a line item on the property tax bill. But in Texas, the tax assessors and collectors at the county level were concerned about adjusting their systems for kind of these one-off transactions. And so we do the same thing contractually, but it's not actually a line item on the property tax bill. It's really just like a conventional loan that way. Some of the criteria for how this works, a PACE loan has to be less than 25% of the appraised value of the total property. The savings to investment ratio, that means the projected savings over the life of the project, has to be at least equal to or greater than the cost over the term. And then if there is a mortgage on the property, consent has to be provided by that mortgage holder. This becomes a sort of a super senior lien, so any mortgage holder would want to know, about any lien that's coming on the property where they're holding a mortgage. About half the projects in the state have had mortgages, and the mortgage holders have provided consent. So how do we know that these are saving money or saving energy? These projections are based on national engineering standards. Also, there's a requirement in Texas that a third-party Texas licensed professional engineer review the calculations to make sure that they look reasonable and that the owner will see these savings. And then they also do a post-construction site visit to ensure everything was installed properly. The project process kind of looks like this. The contractor does an energy or water analysis to determine what the savings will be. Then the independent third-party reviewer reviews those. That's the Texas PE. The project moves into construction, and then after it's completed, the installation is verified by the same Texas licensed PE. So the types of projects we've seen, big and small, urban and rural, nonprofit, hospitality, again, energy, water efficiency. The smallest one to date has been $68,000. The largest one, which closed earlier this month, was $27 million. All of these have received 100% financing, and because private financing is provided, there is really the question we have is there an upper limit? Particularly like in an industrial operation, you might have a several $100 million project that is scheduled during a turnaround. Can PACE support that? The answer is yes. There's private capital that will fund a loan like that. So there's really technically no upper limit if there is a capital provider or lender that's willing to make that loan. Some examples of these projects. This is actually a nonprofit. This is a synagogue in Austin, the very first project. They replaced air conditioners. They put window film to reduce heat gain. Most congregations, like small businesses, have a cash flow challenge. So things just got kicked down the road to the point where they couldn't actually use their youth center and for summer childcare. And so they were able to replace their HVAC systems and fund this over a longer term and utilize PACE to do that. It also qualified for utility incentives and reduce the energy consumption 20% a year. More of a conventional kind of 1980s commercial building in Houston. Again, HVAC, building automation systems and lighting. Also secured utility incentives for this project and 38% savings. This project sold not long after the project was completed, and the new owner and the seller negotiated settlement of the PACE loan as part of the transaction. So this is one that paid off early. This is a project in Dallas, downtown Dallas. That's City Hall on the right if you've ever been there, downtown Dallas. This was a shell, an old warehouse that some investors were looking to turn back into usable property, like a lot of our old buildings in downtown areas. So here they financed the brand new HVAC, lighting, insulation, the roof, building envelope improvement, windows, plumbing fixtures, and they also received historic tax credits for this building, just the nature of the building. So it's a $24 million PACE loan. The whole project was about $129 million, so PACE was just a slice of the overall funding, but it covered the mechanical system upgrades and very significant energy and water savings. And then this is new construction, Rockport, which was most of the residential rental housing was wiped out by Hurricane Harvey. So here a developer building new apartments. This is actually new construction. So here, if you go above minimum energy code, that can make a project eligible for PACE, because you have to do minimum energy code to be code compliant. But if you specify higher efficiency equipment at the outset, then you can secure PACE financing for a higher performing building at the beginning. And then finally, here's another. This was a downtown abandoned building in Amarillo, had boarded up windows, was full of birds. The city was trying to raise money to tear it down, and instead it's now a unbelievably nice boutique hotel in downtown Amarillo. They converted it to high-efficiency HVAC, new lighting, building envelope. They actually furred out the walls to put insulation there. Because it was a historic property, all the windows were completely rebuilt with double pane glass, but they're all historic. They all match the historic original footprint. $6.5 million financing and very considerable savings. So we like to think that it's a win-win-win, maybe a win-win-win-win-win, 5 wins, because property owners can benefit through lower utility bills, resiliency benefits, property value increases. This increases the asset value. For local contractors, a lot of times they'll propose a project to a customer, and they'll say, great, but that's a big price tag. I don't have the money to make that investment. So this is a way to help keep those projects intact and move them forward. For local lenders, this is a new loan product. Again, any lender can fund these loans. For the state, kind of the public purpose behind this all is it helps reduce peak demand for electricity, also preserves water resources, indirectly improves air quality because this means power you're not using unnecessarily, so you have improved emissions or reduced power plant emissions. And then obviously from a community standpoint, this is an economic development tool that doesn't cost the community any money. You can track jobs. Not only are they construction related, but in the cases of putting an abandoned building back on the tax rolls, you now have operating space where people are working every day. And a number of resources we have on our website, and I will stop there and see if there are any questions. Yes, sir.
Yes, we talked about the funding. Is there any interest rate?
The interest rate, typically what we've seen right now is it's in the low 5% interest probably from commercial lenders. Most of the projects that have closed in the last probably 3 to 4 months are low 5s. It depends on the size of the project, if the owner has a relationship already with the bank, then sometimes the rates can be lower, but that's about typical.
Thank you.
So PACE was brought to us in my former position because we had a developer for development for workforce housing. And they brought the PACE program to us, and PACE provided a workshop training to the city leaders, my economic development board, and myself. And it's a wonderful opportunity. I immediately saw how beneficial it was. It's incredible to be able to immediately offer something. The developer comes to the table with this program. It is not the developer coming to us asking for incentives for development or improvements. That's a huge benefit. Equally, we can match dollars with this program for smaller developments, for larger developments. The whole intent is to bring PACE out to industry because there is a significant opportunity here with the availability of funding for these loans, and the dollar amount far can exceed what already has been approved. So that is exactly why I saw when I got here immediately that PACE was approved back in 2017, and I found that it's paramount we get this message out there to industry. The infrastructure improvements, obviously they use an excessive amount of water. Even in our business park right now, we have requests for improving or requesting to have larger intakes and outputs, and that upgrade, we could offer this to that business owner. So there is considerable avenues for PACE really from all perspectives, from workforce housing, multifamily housing, industry, commercial, and I think it's incredibly beneficial.
Again, a tool in the toolkit that's available already, no actions required. This is more of just a briefing, so you'll be more aware of it, and we'll continue to work with Jessica and her team and see where there's opportunities to use PACE in the community.
The idea is that we are doing our initial briefings to industry, and if requested, they would be asking us to go to Energy Row. Thankfully, we have some council members in the house tonight. It would be nice to have the board and the chair and the vice chair of the board and some council representation to go as a team to do this presentation. Dub obviously would do the presentation for the PACE program to industry. We are hoping that we do have some success in getting that message to decision makers such as the CFOs, CEOs, COOs, and more than just the plant management. So tomorrow we are briefing the communications director of Motiva, and then next week it is LNG. So we will keep you apprised as to how successful we are with this message.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Next is communications. Under communication pathways to success, luncheon, April the 12th, 22, 11 to 1, call Parker Center, sponsored by the Port Arthur Educational Foundation. Do you have anything on this one, Jessica?
Yes, board, we will be representing, myself and Renata will be attending, as well as Jenna, this event. It's paramount that we really do focus on the pathways to success for our workforce development programs here. And I have met with Dr. Renard last week, and she invited me to the VIP session with Senator Creighton. So if there's anything the board would like me to bring to Senator Creighton, I would be happy to do so.
Question on this one?
No, sir, this is just
Not really?
under communications.
Okay. Next communication is Greater Port Arthur Chamber of Commerce membership luncheon, April 27th to 22 at the Robert A. Bowers Civic Center.
And on this, board members, this is post-COVID, the first membership luncheon the chamber has been able to put together for in-person, and we are asking the board if they would consider a sponsorship table if there is that interest in attendance for this membership luncheon. It is on 4/27/22. If you would like individual tickets, it's $45. The silver sponsor is a table of 8, and that is $300. Is there enough interest for a silver sponsorship for a table of 8?
Comments?
I think that it would be good if we would attend due to the fact that we have Motiva as one of the guest speakers. Am I correct? So I think that I encourage the board that we should consider going to this luncheon.
So would you recommend doing a silver sponsor for $300 for a table of 8? There's also a gold sponsor for a table of 8 of $625. Any recommendations from the board to move forward on this? Silver. All right.
Get a motion? Do we need it?
This is just under communications. This is just your choice as a
Good.
board. If you want to attend this function, we will make the accommodations and the arrangements for the silver sponsorship of
Yes,
the 300.
that's correct. Y'all don't need a motion on these. You're free to discuss.
Okay, thank you. Next is our staff reports. Workforce development report. Renata, please.
Good evening, Board. In your packets, I have provided each one of you with my monthly April meeting breakdown. I'll start off with our CDL program. Currently, for 2022, we currently have a total of 26 students, 6 waiting, 21 invoiced. As you all know, I think last year we talked about this. We actually have 2 programs that run concurrent, one being the Class A and the other being the Class B. The Class B is a 10-week program, and the Class A is a 15-week program. And we should be getting a few graduates coming across my desk because the first 3 actually enrolled in that Class A program. Moving on to scholarship in our youth employment program. As you all may see, I have a brief statement below. The scholarship committee and I met on March the 15th. In attendance was Ms. Raymond, Ms. Connor, and myself. The committee decided to keep the agreement we currently have in place, no amendments, just continue to follow the agreement. We decided in that meeting that we will maintain historical data and the success of our scholarship recipients until employment, so like a 1, 5, and 10-year breakdown. The committee also stressed that they are very elated with the scholarship program and the return on the investment. And if you look at your report that I have provided you, I have a breakdown. Year 1 was 2019, was the first scholarship recipients that actually went through the program, and out of that program, 60% were successful. 3 out of the 5 actually graduated and obtained a degree. The second set, currently, they have a 3 out of 5 rate. I think on your report, it was printed early. I actually went in and updated. It's also at 60%. And the last scholarship recipients who came on last year, they're at an 80% rate. We would eventually like to grow beyond our file scholarships and improve our ROI over time, meaning retaining more students in the actual program. So somehow mentoring. Also, Spring 22 is successfully ongoing and students are dedicated. As far as our YEP applications are concerned, as of March the 28th, I actually have 6 applications on hand, the majority being from Memorial High School, and I actually have 1 application from Nederland High School. And on your report, I think it reflects 5, but I had a young lady that came in on Friday and hand-delivered her application to me. The YEP letter to employers have been signed off by our CEO, Ms. Jessica Carpenter, and they have also been sent to local employers in our city. I've also reached out to our counselors and school advisors regarding our 2022 YEP program and 2022 scholarship program. Once again, all information has been sent to all schools, local and non-local, who may have Port Arthur residents that attend. Material has also been posted on the City of Port Arthur's website, and we are very pleased with our scholarship and our YEP programs. Also, moving on to branding and image and marketing, Ms. Carpenter and I have been meeting with several companies via Zoom regarding our marketing strategies for the 90-day plan for fiscal year 22-23. We finally completed our internal branding in-house, which I think she mentioned last month. We actually have our staff closure signature up to date, and it's on all of our email, included in all of our email closures. We also have EDC headers on all paperwork, so we're actually practicing uniformity in-house. Myself and Jessica have met with the following companies, gathering information on how their product could theoretically strengthen our future strategic plan and our platform here within the Economic Development Organization. And I actually have listed in my report the companies that I've actually either had a Zoom call with or a Meets call with, myself and Jessica, and one being Buxton, which is an analytical data company, Archive Social, which retains retention records of all data. Expansion Solutions, they actually rolled out their digital platform of what they're offering nowadays. Chimera Analytics, which was also an analytical company that we actually used when former management was in place. We actually had them to pitch to us as well. We actually met with another economic development organization. It was a guy that actually worked in economic development. He actually branched off and actually got his own company. And we talked with UpPlus, which is a branding and website company, North Star, which is a branding and website company, ED Suite, which is a branding and website company. And I will tell you that not only have I had calls with these people, but I've reached out to other cities that are similar to our city just to see what they are using, and a lot of them are using some of the companies that I named in my report. I also attended a chamber meeting that focused solely on workforce development, and I will tell you guys that it was stated, I actually talked with the TWC heads, and unemployment is at an all-time high right now. With Jefferson County having an 8.9% unemployment rate, and Port Arthur as a whole at 14%. So, of course, the goal of the PA EDC is to retain, train, and boost the economy in order to reduce the unemployment rate. Our training dollars have proven to help citizens gain a certification in order to gain employment, and that has been successful since my inception in this role. We've had several Port Arthurians to go through our CDL program, our medic program, our CNA program, so we are making an effort as an economic development organization to get out there and actually train our citizens and also follow them until they actually reach the employment stage. So that concludes my report. Do you have any questions?
Question?
Any questions?
Yes. You said the scholarship.
Yes, sir.
Did you say a student from Nederland High School?
Yes, but that student is a Port Arthur resident.
Got it. Thank you.
Renata, this new CDL, the classes take a couple of months and more expenses. Did y'all say, or we talked about, are we going to be under old guidelines or new guidelines with the budget? How are we going to deal with that? Because the cost went up, is that correct?
True. So basically, those citizens that actually took the class prior to the federal guidelines for the commercial drivers, they are actually grandfathered in. So moving forward, the people that actually take a part of the program, that's why at the last monthly meeting, I asked to see if we can get a poll so that Dr. Stafford can come back in. He emailed me last Friday, and he's wanted to come back to speak to the board and address the board to see what we plan on doing. I know Jessica and I, we haven't had a chance to get together to talk a little bit more in depth because we still have funding, but I will tell you, and I have this documented here, year to date, we're at $24,300 for people coming into the program. We're only allotted or allocated $37,500. So that means year to date, I can only bring in preferably about 12 more people, depending on if they take a Class A for $900, which is $1,800, or a Class B, which is $900 or $1,800, or the Class A, which is like $1,260, which is a little bit more expensive, but it's like $2,700 or $2,650 or something like that. So we actually have to get together and see what we're going to do. I know that we are in budget season, and we are planning on putting more dollars into that CDL program to accommodate what is happening.
That's good. That was grandfathered in then.
Mm-hmm.
CDL program is definitely in high demand. As we all know, there is an excessive shortage of Class A drivers. So if we do put more money into that pool for grants, for certification programs, we would like to focus on that Class A category for CDL drivers for over-the-road semi-truck industry. We would also like to establish a tracking mechanism for our ROI for the program. It is a difficult program. Getting through the program successfully, graduating, getting a job is no problem, but maintaining your certification, you have to keep your clean driving record, no accidents, obviously your DOT physicals. There's a lot of contributing factors, so we definitely support it. We just want to make sure that we're check and balancing the system as we move forward.
Other questions?
Renata, concerning our YEP, how many kids are we going to do this year?
Actually, with our YEP, it's normally 20.
20, okay.
Yes.
And as far as the employers, do we have anyone that's already on board, or this letter is what's going to solidify where they're going to go?
So I actually mailed out the letters on Friday, and so I've actually had one company that we actually partnered with here internally, and because they had to lay off 40 employees, they're not going to be able to take on any kids this year. So that's the only company that has come back as a no thus far. And I sent 10 letters out.
Okay.
So far, one decline.
Okay.
As we all know, workforce development is a very important program, and with 14% unemployment, that just does not look good for Port Arthur. What can we do to enhance the programs? Like, I understand CDL is hot and it's going well, but we have other programs that we would like to look into to get more people coming in to get trained and go to work. What can we do to get these programs going, and what fundings are we going to need to get it going? We got to get our 14th, get that lowered. So
Board
what can
Member
we do?
Raymond, I would like to mention that we will be addressing that in the 90-day plan more specifically and in detail of how we are collaborating with Lamar College, TWC, and our own program that we would like to establish. But we will have full details for you in the near future.
Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you, Renata.
Thank you.
Next would be program compliance report.
Good evening, board members. Okay. On your report this evening, you'll see a new added item at the top. We are going to begin showing you your development account. You'll see what was budgeted, the year-to-date expenditures, what's been encumbered, any adjustments, and your available funds for that development account, just so that you all can keep abreast of what all is available. Okay, as far as ongoing contracts, I have updates for you tonight for 2 of our contracts. Clifford Distilling, as a recap, that was initiated in September 21, EDC's investment of $162,500. That has been paid out completely to date, reimbursed to Clifford Distilling. That was to assist in his startup distillery for renovation costs, purchase of equipment, inventory, and infrastructure costs. Clifford agrees to remain in Port Arthur and create a minimum of $655,000 in payroll to Port Arthur residents over the term of the agreement. To date, that he has let us know that he has hired 3 Port Arthur residents. He plans to have hired a total of 5 by the summer of '22 and fully staffed by the end of this year. And at the back of your report, you will see that they have invited everyone to their grand opening event. The actual event will be a 3-day event, and the paper in front of you has the 23rd's event, but they will be sending something else later for the 21st that he would like for all of the board members to attend if possible. So, okay, and that is for Clifford Distilling. Now, Real Noodle LLC, that is one of your most recent infrastructure investments. The EDC invested $138,700. Paid to date was $90,155. They do qualify now for their 3rd and final reimbursement. They will be paid out in full, will have complied fully with the requirements of their contract, which was to complete the infrastructure improvements and receive 2 certificate of occupancies for the businesses on that development. So they have complied with their contractual obligations. We are processing that last and final payment, and you should see them on your next agenda for closeout of that contract. Okay, and just to give you all an update as to the resolutions that were sent over by you all last month, they were approved as far as Joey's Tractor Service for the mowing of the business parks, S&S Security Services for the Spur 93 Business Park, and the agreement with Arsenault, Wilson & Cole for a study of the water and sanitary sewer evaluation at the Spur 93 Business Park. So all of those will be moving forward. Okay, and that concludes my report. If there are any questions.
On Clifford Distilling, he's employed 3 Port Arthur residents. Do we know how many people he's going to employ total?
Total, I'm not sure if we put a total amount. We base it mostly off of payroll. I believe he said over the term of his agreement he will have a total of 9, but I will have to confirm that amount, and I can definitely send it out to the board after this meeting.
Thank you.
The questions?
Thank you.
This would be our financial report. Ms. Rachel?
Good afternoon, Board. I'm going to give you a summary of the financial report for March 22 for your review. The supporting documents are behind your memo. The projected revenue for fiscal year 2022, $6,040,275,000. The actual revenue as of March 31st, 2022 is $4,019,157, leaving us an unrealized revenue for fiscal year 2022 of $2,021,118. Our current expenditures as of March 31st, 2022 is $1,535,083, giving us an excess of revenue as of March 31st, 2022 of $4,505,192. Our debt service for fiscal year 2022 is $877,098. $438,189 has been transferred in as of March 31st, 2022, leaving a balance of $438,909 to be transferred out for fiscal year 2022. Our current other uses and sources of funds is $1,183,600, leaving us a net change in fund balance of $2,444,494. Our fund balance at the beginning of the year is estimated at $4,501,694, which would leave us a fund balance at the end of the year as of March 31st, 2022 of $6,946,188. All of the supporting documents that support these numbers is behind the memo. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions?
Thank you, Board. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Rachel. Next is Communication Business Center report.
Good evening, Board. I'm pleased to say that I do believe that we will reach substantial completion at the press building by the April 30th deadline. It is absolutely gorgeous. I printed some pictures today, and they look like computer renderings, but I actually took those from my phone, and it's gorgeous. The quality of work in that building is absolutely amazing. I had an opportunity to walk it today with Councilman Kinlaw and Marks and Judge Floyd, and they were all super impressed with the building. Staff, life to date, our budget was $4,989,100. Our life to date actual is $3,868,914.99. Our life to date encumbrance is $701,820. Once we expend all of those funds, we will still not have exceeded the guaranteed maximum price contract. So we are still within budget. The EDC team has scheduled meetings with the architect design team for next week, and then we'll be meeting with the CTEX construction team. The flooring installer has completed most of the flooring on the second floor so that he can move on to finish the first floor. The material for the monument stairs has come in. It's gorgeous. It's being acclimated right now in the building so that it can be installed. Once it's installed, then that last light shelf at the front atrium can be complete, and then that building will be completely enclosed. The rooftop units are working. It is so cold in that building, but it has to be so that the flooring can be acclimated. The partitions for the flex classrooms that we thought we would not get until third quarter of this year have been delivered and are installed. And if you look at the last picture in the packet that I gave you, you can see how the architects designed for the partitions to actually recess so that they don't impact the footprint of that actual area. It's just a really, really neat design. So when we are utilizing the entire area, the partitions are not in the way. Maybe it's not the last one. But All right, DataVox, they continue to install equipment. Unfortunately, they cannot install the remainder of the equipment until we have a completely dust-free environment. And we do have some concerns about that being complete by the April 30th deadline, but I think we'll get very, very close. Lamar held an open house for a few VIP guests on Saturday, and they were quite impressed with the culinary arts area. And they have another event coming up in May, and will also participate in our grand opening that I'm hoping to have later on this summer. The EOC team, there was actually someone in there today. They're not quite utilizing the space. They have been distributed their security cards, but they have not distributed them to staff. They are still evaluating whether or not they want to put dispatch in that area, but they are moving along with their plans. I have 4 tenants currently that are interested in office space. I was contacted on yesterday by 3 more, and I have 3 events booked for the Flex Classroom in the 3rd and 4th quarter of this year. Plans are underway for the grand opening of the press building, tentatively scheduled for an evening in July. I'm going to kind of incorporate a taste of Port Arthur and invite businesses to provide the food or the tchotchkes, the giveaways and things like that. And it's going to be a really, really nice evening event, probably on a Thursday evening. And we will have live music and entertainment. I have been meeting with the planning department, and we talked about Food Truck Fridays and how the press building can accommodate the food truck vendors with their need for restroom space and also commissary kitchens. In that research, I found out we don't have a lot of food truck vendors here because they are not allowed to prep their food on the food truck. They actually have to have a commissary kitchen. So in Beaumont, a lot of the major restaurants let these food truck vendors into their kitchens at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning so that they can prep their food prior to their kitchen staff arriving for work. So we do have another kitchen downtown, and I've spoken with the owner of that kitchen about being a commissary kitchen for food truck vendors. So we can get food truck festivals and food truck vendors to provide food, you know, in the downtown and Port Arthur area. Let's see. I did include a press release from the National Development Council. I earned my Economic Developer Finance Professional Certification last month. It's a certification that I started in 2006. So I am quite proud of that. And I continue to work with our makeup manufacturer lady on Gulfway Drive about scaling her business. Right now, she's trying to reduce her opportunity costs due to the war and her shipping issues and things like that. And we're talking about scaling her business and how exactly she wants to do that so that we can put a package together regarding her sources and uses of funds. And that's all I have for this evening, unless someone has questions.
Questions?
I wanted to piggyback off that and mention that I have really wanted to bridge that gap in the collaboration with the city departments. And I connected Jana with Desiree, she's a senior planner, and placemaking. This is a grand opportunity in this beautiful building to emphasize and maximize placemaking, what placemaking means, how we can optimize placemaking in the press building. And Desiree is plenty experienced in that vein. So the collaboration has been amazing, as well as the landscaping with Chandra's staff. We want to make sure we're integrating the ideas and the vision of the EDC with our assets and incorporating the people in the know with the collaboration with the city departments. And Jana's been doing a great job with that communication.
Also like to applaud Jana. This has been very hard. You have really worked hard, dedicated your time and energy, and I know it has been very stressful, but it's coming to the end. Again, thank you for a job well done.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, thank you, Board.
Hey, Jana. And next would be our CEO report.
Board members, thank you for allowing me to present this report before you. I will go as quickly as I can. There is an ample amount of information. To begin with, I would like to propose a maintenance agreement for both buildings, the Press Building and the EDC building. I will bring this formally to you at a later date. Considering that we've invested multi-millions of dollars in these two buildings as an asset portfolio to the EDC, we would like to consider having a contracted maintenance agreement due to the fact that we have invested a considerable amount in repairs and maintenance ongoing just in the HVAC system alone without an overall inspection and balancing of the system. Last year, as you see in your report, fiscal year 2021, it cost $40,000, $40,545.30 to be exact. In fiscal year 2022, currently we are at $7,694. However, we did receive the inspection report for the system and the balancing, and all told it runs about $50,000 and change. The balancing alone is just under $10,000. There's considerable reservations about continuing on with the current contracted provider. We did have ICM do the inspection on the system, and that is not our current contracted provider. I will bring this to you more formally when we have all quotes in and an idea of how we would like that HVAC or maintenance agreement overall for the building to look. In consideration for budgetary information, I just wanted to make sure that I brought to the board some of the crucial elements to the expenses. So I had Crystal in her report revised, so you have an ongoing monthly update on the development line item, as well as Jana for the Press Building. Those are our two most significant budgetary line items for expenses. And with these two buildings, we really are looking at some incurred expenses that we just do not have the money for in this fiscal year. Now we are about to approach budget season, so we can then factor in those sums and do a line item request within the budget for the budget requests in the budget season this year, instead of trying to find the money. We just really don't have that. And in your report, I do a pretty concise job at showing you that we just don't have the funds to do much of anything moving forward with our development line item for the rest of this fiscal year. So the budgetary information is that we also are required to have a 60 days of funds to cover all expenses in addition to a fund balance of $1.5 million. So that is a substantial amount considering our budget is not that great. And we want to ensure that we are being fiscally responsible in the actions moving forward for the rest of the fiscal year. So the generator is also summarized in here as well. The one quote we did receive back timely enough for this meeting, it was $192,000 and change. So that is definitely something we will have to consider in our budget requests for fiscal year 2022-23, moving into the budget season. Let's see, moving on, prospective economic development projects, the Southwest Shipyards. They're anticipating employing 35 to 40 residents in the area. They are looking at purchasing about 2 acres from Vessel Repair or leasing the acreage from Vessel Repair. They are a cleaning service entity. This is probably the only project that we would be able to move forward with for the remainder of the fiscal year, considering, if you noticed in Crystal's report, our development line item budget has about $300,000 plus for the remainder of this year. So it is something to consider that we have a lot of requests in the queue for economic development projects, and Southwest Shipyard is the first in the queue of that list. Meetings and collaborations, as I mentioned prior, I met with Dr. Renard and Maria Davis of Lamar College. I have met with Tammy Kotzer, Convention and Visitors Bureau, Larry Kelly with the Port, Carl Segura with Entergy, he is retiring. I requested one more meeting with him before he retires. Claire Jackson, again, we are meeting with Claire with PACE tomorrow, but I met with Claire previously. John, our city engineer, and Martin Flood, the operations manager, Chandra, the parks director, Dana, SBDC directors, Kevin King, the TWC, Workforce Solutions, Dr. Haney, Utilities Engineering Consultant, Ron Burton, the City Manager, Pam, Development Services Director and Assistant City Manager, Mayor Barty, Councilman Marks, and Pat Avery, the Chamber of Commerce President. So in my first month onboarding, I have been extremely busy, and I just wanted to ensure that I brought some of the high points to you in this report. I wanted to move on. The Economic Development Week is May 9th through the 13th. We are anticipating having a panel discussion. I briefed staff today, and I will be taking Crystal, Renata, and Jana to hopefully Lamar College and the Rotary, as well as the high school. We want to have a panel type discussion, and Crystal will be discussing the business park and how successful we have been in developing the business park, what is left by percentage to be still sold and developed. And Jana is going to be discussing the press building and the placemaking and the wonderful opportunity we have to bring business to Proctor Street. So Renata is going to be emphasizing workforce. This will be huge with economic development and the forums that we are taking this discussion to, because we want to emphasize that the Economic Development Corporation will go above and beyond to coordinate connecting employees with employers. So we really want to emphasize our programs. That's why I was mentioning to board member Beverly that we do have a vision, and we will lay out that in full detail. We're excited to bring forward this in a panel discussion type forum. I think that's very successful, that we have brief presentations and a QA session before we move on to the next one. So it will be these three ladies here and myself going out for Economic Development Week. If you would like us to do anything else for Economic Development Week, we would love to hear your ideas. We have 3 tentative panel discussion appointments, and we would like to fill 2 more to have an event each day. So moving forward, we'll also draft a proclamation and send it over for City Council for Mayor to read the proclamation of the Economic Development Week. So we have a tentative fall festival we wanted to bring to you. As the Economic Development Corporation, we thought it's no time like the present to bring an event to Proctor Street, considering at this point the brand new press building will be open, and we want to make sure that we are trying to maximize our opportunity on occupancy for that building as well as this building. We are not at 100%. A potential tenant here will be going over to the press building, and so we thought, great, what a wonderful time to do a fall event. We are not sponsoring the event. We are facilitating our local Proctor businesses to be the sponsors of this event, meaning the distillery and Edith's and hopefully Opulence. I have spoken to Dr. Renard. She thinks it's a great idea. I spoke with Larry at the Port, and he thinks it's a great idea. So both ends of us on Proctor Street are very much encouraging. It's something that hasn't happened in a while, and we would like to bring something that brings community together and promotes our small businesses, and we're facilitating all of that work through the local businesses on Proctor Street. So we're proposing a street closure. We're tentatively working with the city on the permit process and helping the distillery to be the executive sponsor, because they are going after the permit. And we'll be doing some street closing and vendor booths. There's lots of ideas in the works right now, and we'll keep continuing to apprise you on the details as this moves forward. I have put in the report, as requested per the contract that I have with the EDC and the City of Port Arthur, of the conferences, trainings, and the certification programs. I won't go into detail. I just wanted to let you know that it's fully listed here with dates and links to the sites if you would like to check that out. Also, something new I'd like to present to you is the monthly sales tax report. I definitely wanted to make sure that this board is aware of what our sales tax report is, and I have that listed for you there as well in a brief summary that's provided by Zach Tax. Any questions?
Questions? No questions. Thank you, Jessica.
I'm sorry, there was a lot of information in that report.
Second to look. Okay. Thank you. And now we move to unfinished business. Discuss and consider a resolution authorizing the City of Port Arthur, Section 4A, Economic Development, to enter into a purchase agreement with John Crane Incorporated for the sale of approximately 2.1 acres of land at the corner of Jade Avenue and Morris Carter Drive in the Spur 93 Business Park. This sale will generate a revenue of $130,410 to be deposited into Port Arthur EDC account number 120-80-00-4722-00-00-000.
Board members, if you recall, John Crane, Inc. is a Delaware corporation and would like to acquire the 2.1 acres of land in the Spur 93 Business Park for the development of a 12,000 square foot building containing approximately 4,000 square feet of single-story office space and 8,000 square feet of 18 to 20-foot high warehouse space for the assembly and repair of mechanical seals, along with office area for sales, engineering, and operational personnel. The purchase agreement has been finalized. We did finally reach an agreement, and we are pleased to say that the recommendation is for the board to enter into a purchase agreement with John Crane, Inc. for the sale of 2.1 acre tract of land in the Spur 93 Business Park for the total sum of $130,410.
Questions?
Need a motion? So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion passed. Next is consent agenda. Discuss and consider a resolution authorizing the third and final renewal of the janitorial services contract with Southeast Texas Building Service for the office building at 501 Proctor Street in an amount not to exceed $20,000. Funds available in the EDC account number 120-80-625-5312-00-00-000.
Board, this is the per city resolution number 19-162. This is the janitorial services contract we have for this building with Southeast Texas Building Services. It is originally a 1 year with an option to renew for 3 additional 1-year periods. So therefore, this is the third and final re-up of this contract, not to exceed $20,000. The PA-EDC has been very satisfied with the services of the Southeast Texas Building Services for the janitorial services provided. Any questions?
I motion that we approve the consent agenda items.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carried. Next, non-consent. Consider and discuss a letter of intent from Port City Partners. Ms. Carpenter?
I believe, sir, it's discuss and consider approval of the Triangle Waste LP sale of property. Oh, they approved them both together. Okay.
Carpenter? I have to back up to the consent number 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Consent? To read it.
Discuss and consider approving of Triangle Waste LP sale of property and all improvements located at 1000 South Business Park Drive within the Spur 93 Business Park.
For clarification, and Austin, you can clarify this for us, please, if you're still on the line. The consent agenda items were not approved completely as a whole. They were read separately, so therefore we have to approve the second item individually as well. So, yes, to the Triangle Waste LP sale of the property at 1000 South Business Park is simply because our covenants and restrictions for the Spur 93 Business Park, a property owner must notify and obtain approval to sell from the City of Port Arthur, the Section 8 Economic Development Corporation. So this is just basically letting you know that the Triangle Waste LP sale, they're requesting for the approval from this board to sell their land. The company has been the same, and that is Sprint Waste Services LP. They will continue to operate as the same company, Sprint Waste Services LP. They are strictly just selling the land to another owner. Any questions?
So move.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Against? Motion carried. Now we were at non-consent. Consider and discuss a letter of intent from Port City Partners.
Board members, Port City Partner owns the former Rowan Marine Terminal in Sabine Pass, located at 8010 South First Avenue. Port City Sabine Holdings LLC is requesting a grant of $2,454,698 to expand business in Sabine Pass with a ship fueling station and service ships at the mouth of Sabine Neches Ship Channel, also including security lighting and security cameras. Currently, the project is funded with private investments and business revenue. The business employs 16 workers. We are, as I mentioned in my CEO report, this is a request that falls behind other capital considerations, and at this time, this would not be one that we would be able to fiscally enter into for this year. It is something I think we should prioritize for the next fiscal year, and the letter of intent to move forward is recommended because this is just the beginning, and it will take us a set amount of time to move forward with the letter of intent, potential application, negotiations, and bringing you back to the board throughout that whole process. So the recommendation of staff is to proceed with the letter of intent.
Have a motion?
Moved.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Against? Motion carried. Second item, discuss and consider obtaining bids in support of the purchase of a generator.
Board members, this was at the request of a board member, and staff does fully support a recommendation to seek a generator for this building. However, as I mentioned in my CEO report, our fiscal constraints are significant. The first quote that has come in is about $192,000, and it is not feasible for our current fiscal year. We definitely will continue to get those quotes and then put it in as a line item request for our upcoming budget year. Any questions?
It's Jessica. How much was it you said?
It was $100,000, and this is just the first quote. So it was $192,242.86, and we are hoping to receive 2 more quotes after this.
Okay, based on our current fund balance, how much do we have the 60 days plus the 1.5 million, I think you said? Do we have anything over that in the fund balance?
At this time, the only areas we could consider possibly utilizing for would be the development line item, but it's encumbered extensively. The remainder in that line item is, if all expenses, if everything was expensed this week, we would have $56,000 in that line item.
Now, what I'm talking about, our fund balance, what we have, you know, I know we keep, you said earlier, 60 days plus 1.5 million. Okay, so in our fund balance, do we have just that amount, or do we have more than that amount in the fund balance?
That is a difficult question to answer, Board Member Doucette, because we have to consider what is encumbered, what needs to be expensed this year still. So we would barely, it would be safer to say that we would be barely meeting the minimum regulations of the state of Texas for what's required to be kept.
Okay, that was my concern and my question. So basically, we don't have that information right now.
Correct.
Okay.
We are right in the
Okay.
middle of this fiscal year, and I am meeting with Candy Daniel next week to fill in some of the gaps on the financial part, not just the budget line items, but the financial part. I, as a finance person, am very much interested in how we can do our historical prospectus, and then moving forward with our future forecasting, doing our risk mitigation, really setting ourselves up much better than just looking at the line item from year to year to year, and what's been encumbered rolling over from one year to the next.
The reason I asked that question, I understand 60 days, 1.5, and I understand sticking with the budget. I don't like amending budgets, okay? But the fact of the matter is, this is a pretty important item. I think for the fact that we're fitting to come into hurricane season. And, you know, that's something that I feel this building should have a backup to, because not only do we function here, but we also have people we rent the building to. So we're responsible for making sure we provide the power to them also. So I would like to really know exactly what the numbers are in terms of what we actually have in the fund balance, not the operating fund, but the fund balance. I'd like to see what those numbers are
Chairman, that may be something we can
before
add
I just
as
write
an
this
agenda
off.
item.
Go
I know
ahead.
we get the financial report, but if y'all want a deeper dive into financials, we could certainly brief the board on that, but it sounds like staff's not ready to do that today.
Yes, we do. You will see in this agenda that there is a standing committee we need to establish for that. We do have those numbers. I can tell you that for $192,142.86, it is not feasible in this fiscal year to make that amendment to this budget. We can do it as a line item request, so we factor it into the overall budget for next year. But yes, we will discuss that in full detail under the Standing Committee for Finance and Audit Committee we need to establish in our next line item, and start doing some budget workshopping in April.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Doucette.
Okay, wait, I'm not, so since we didn't have the numbers right, we don't have the numbers this meeting, we don't have the numbers this meeting. So, do we really, without the numbers, I don't see how we can make the decision, Jessica, without the numbers. If we have the numbers.
Mr. Doucette, we do have the numbers. As I mentioned, the next line item is to establish a committee for Finance and Audit Committee where we will start workshopping for pre-budget season and discuss those numbers in full detail. At this time, in this setting, though, it is the recommendation to defer this item.
I understand.
table it?
I understand the recommendation. That's kind of asked the question, you know, because I'm strong with the generator, and mainly not just for us, but because we have other tenants in the building. And when the committee going to meet, they're going to come back to us, and we're going to just table this one, Jessica? Are we tabling it?
That is the recommendation.
Okay.
This was a request
Okay.
item by a board member, and we wanted to bring some information to the board in this setting as per the request, timeliness to this meeting. And then, once we establish the Finance and Audit Committee, we can disclose further of what the details are and how we plan on funding this generator in the future. It is highly recommended we do get a generator. The tenants did sign a lease knowing we don't have a generator for this building. We do have a generator for the press building, so there is an emergency option during hurricane season. It's not optimum, but we will resolve this issue as soon as fiscally possible.
Make a motion that we table this item.
Second it.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Number 3 on the non-consent, discuss and consider appointing standing committees for section 10.02.A.D of the Port Arthur EDC bylaws, Budget, Finance, and Audit Committees for Business Retention, Expansion, Committee for New Business Formation, and Committee for New Business Attraction and Recruitment.
Board members, as I was reading through the bylaws, this is something I noticed, and I inquired that there are not these standing committees under section 10.02A through D that are very pertinent to what we do daily, weekly, our programs, to give you the details in a smaller setting, in a committee setting. So at this point, what staff is recommending, at least in this meeting, is to establish the Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee, considering we are entering into the next budget season. If you would like to address all of the standing committees that are not currently appointed and formulated, we can do so. However, if you would like to, I can bring this back to you at a later date. Tonight, it is very important we do establish the Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee.
Are those the same committees? He can assign us to committees, can he? As bylaws, the president, the chairperson can actually assign us to committees. So if everybody is willing to volunteer to serve whatever he put us on, then he could get with them and assign us just how many people we're going to put on each is all he needs to know. And once he does that, then he could break us down and he could put us on committees.
Well, by the bylaws, it's to discuss and consider appointing. Yes, that's exactly what the board chair would be doing, is appointing.
Right.
And tonight, if there, recommendation is a 3-member committee, so we can move forward with this.
Would anybody volunteer?
You have several committees when you get with them. It's just we need to know how many, Jessica, and then he can do that for you.
Well, for tonight, it's the Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee that is the most pertinent to establish effective immediately. And if we could ask for volunteers and see who the chair will appoint, we would like a 3-member committee from this board.
3 people on each one. Well, that's a question. Okay.
Volunteer for the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you, Board Member Clark.
I also volunteer.
Thank you, Board Member Connor.
Get the left side.
Make it the left side.
Make it the left side. Okay, the left side back for finance.
Thank you, Mr.
Right
Doucette.
side.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
So as of this reading for the Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee, I have Board Member Clark, Board Member Connor, and Board Member Doucette. All agreed for that?
Need a motion on that?
Yes, sir, you
Okay,
do.
can I get a motion?
I move.
Second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Against? Motion passed.
Thank you, board members.
Fourth item, consider and discuss the repair, replacement of parts and balancing of the HVAC system at 501 Proctor Street by industrial and commercial mechanical in amount of not to exceed $49,888. Funds available in account number 120-80-6312-5312-00-0000.
Board members, we did request ICM to come and do the full inspection on our HVAC system, as well as the balancing from Coastal, who is a Louisiana company. However, it is a very unique type of service that is required for the balancing of a large HVAC system, and ICM does hire Coastal, as many of the other vendors here locally, because they are the only company around that does provide this elite type of service. So all told, from their inspection, it is just under $50,000 to do the maintenance and upgrades to our HVAC system. And as I mentioned earlier in my CEO report, we did express that last year, the incurred cost for fiscal year 21 was just under $41,000. Currently this year, we're above $7,000. This would be an additional $50,000. Our HVAC system it's very much in need of this. We have some considerable issues that our current contract provider has not looked at comprehensively and has been piecemealing the repair system to us one by one. So we decided to request ICM to give us a perspective of a comprehensive inspection. And the balancing actually came from, I sought out the building official, Phil, when I first got on board with his suggestion and insight onto the matter, and he did put us in this direction. And I think that the information is heavy to bear, because as we're expressing in this meeting, the incurred expenses are just difficult at this time, but we have tenants here who we have given reduced rent rates to. We have incurred the encumbrance of the cost because we cannot consistently keep, this is only the second week since I've been here that we've maintained a consistent cooled building. It has been coming in the morning, sometimes 76, 78 in my office. It doesn't, when we call the tech to come in, it doesn't get cool until the late afternoon, and then it's very humid in here at that, even if it is cooling down. Our tenants are paying us very good money to be here, and we do need them here, and we respect and honor their business in our building, and we would like to be able to consistently provide that quality service. We are entering into a very long, hot, humid season before us. So the recommendation is to move forward with this inspection. Cost for repairs of $49,888.
I so move on that.
Second it.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. The last item, number 5, consider and discuss the purchase of exterior signage in the amount of $5,445 for Lamar State College, Port Arthur, and the Press Building. Funds available in EDC, account number 120-80-6225-5494-00-00-000. Jessica?
Board members, before the press building was near this completion level, there was an agreement between the Economic Development Corporation and Lamar College that the EDC would purchase the exterior signage for Lamar College's portion of that building. We are now at the time to make that purchase. That purchase will not to exceed $5,745, and that is for Lamar State College signage on the exterior of the press building. Any questions?
have a question. Okay, the signage that you're talking about, is it only going to be title only? Or is it going to be some kind of directional siding? Is it going to be a combination?
I'll defer to Jana. She is covering the press building.
This signage is just an identification sign on the exterior of the building showing the Lamar entrance to the Culinary Arts and Bistro 549 area. So nothing directional. Those signs are already up on that side of the building. It's just an exterior sign.
Now, the directional signs, are they going to be the same type of signs that they're going to use in the city of Port Arthur when we get the signage up? Or are they going to be different? Or have you had those communications with the city?
Not yet. This is just signage that's actually affixed to the building.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Board Member Clark, are you referring to the wayfinding project? Yes, we are in preliminary discussion with the city on the wayfinding project, and we would love to participate with them, so we are in coordination with all of our directional signage throughout the city leading to the EDC or the press building.
The questions?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor? Against? Motion carried. We'll now move to executive session. Closed meeting or executive session will be held pursuant to the following sections of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code, Section 551.074 Government Code, to discuss matters personnel, duties of the Port Arthur EDC CO as outlined in CO contract and job description, Community and Business Development Center Manager. Number 2, Section 551-071 Government Code, to discuss with Attorney Frank Garza pending and potential litigation and or legal advice. Terms and condition of the Port Arthur EDC CEO contract with attorney, terms and condition of the administration service contract, legal counsel referrals. Number 3, Section 551.071 Government Code, to deliberate and purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate property, real estate appraisals, Port Arthur EDC properties, potential buyers for the Highway 73 Business Park. Number 4, Section 551.081 Government Codes, to discuss incentives in commercial and industrial business prospects.
We will now adjourn to closed session.
We're now adjourned to closed session. We're opening up the regular meeting again. And can we get a roll call?
Darrell Anderson, Beverly Raymond, Christopher Smith, Ellen Clark, Harold Doucette,
Here.
Jerry LeBeau,
Here?
Rhonda Connor. Here. We have a quorum.
Okay. Since there was no items to vote on, I guess we can close the meeting.
I thought we had one item.
I thought we had a motion coming up.
I thought we had one item that we need to vote on.
Yeah.
The attorney said we need to do a motion for her.
The attorney is taking their own action. He said they were
Yeah.
going to take their own action. We have the motion? Okay. Okay.
Okay, so it's no motions, no votes,
I motion that the meeting is
motion the
adjourned.
meeting to close.
Second.
Thanks for coming. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? No. Motion carried.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned, that's it.